morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You know, I'm kind of a sensitive guy, and when I came into this room, I couldn't help but feel the compassion and the spiritual connection, okay, that you good people feel for people that are less fortunate.
You don't need to have the mic that close to you. It'll pick you up from like 12.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
All right, great. I'm used to sitting.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Just
This-
don't
this
tap
is
on
a-
the mic.
Yeah, this is the kind of mic that you don't have to.
She don't
you
like
have
that.
to
Okay, don't tap on the mic.
No.
All right, well, my name is Michael Pastore, and I'm known throughout the county as Pastor Mike. I'm an ordained minister, listed in a national directory of ordained ministers. I have no fancy building. I don't have any paid staff or a board of directors to answer to. And being in what I would consider a non-traditional church, I've got my Bible over there, but I'm not going to thump it today. All right, so I feel, I feel led to, when I go to different places, I go to the church out on 92, the LGBT friendly, church, and my ministry comes from, the man that set an example over 2,000 years ago. When Jesus walked the earth, he ministered to the least of society, the unwashed, the lepers, the hungry, and the homeless. And I often think, what would, there's an old crazy song back in the 70s that said, what if God was one of us, And I think you remember, just a slob like one of us, or, so on, if he walked the earth today. If he walked the mean streets of Daytona Beach today, it would be the pimps and prostitutes, the drug dealers, the meth and heroin addicts, the convicted sex offenders, and the homeless. Jesus was one of them. He preached in the temple, but not all the time. I mean, he was out there with dirty feet, walking miles, and this is probably the only scripture I'll quote today, from Matthew 8:20. Foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man had nowhere to lay his head. So he was homeless. All right, fast forward to today. What does it mean to be homeless? And I'll back up just a minute before I launch into that, that part. Carrie told you that, ministry's been 2 years. For the first year of my ministry, I became homeless, by choice. Because when I was called to minister to this population, I said, how am I going, I can't separate myself, from these people. So, I took the easy way out. I didn't sleep under a tree, but I did live without a car. I lived in a 9x9 storage unit with a bare mattress and a potty chair. I took the bus everywhere and I walked everywhere, and I ate where they ate, and I at night I would go sneak into my storage unit, go to sleep, and then get up in the morning before the office opened, so I didn't get caught. And walk the streets of Daytona. I started out a little bit, I saw people rooting around in butt cans and on the ground for what they call shorts, butts, and I started giving away these cheap cigars. I think they were 99 cents a pack, and I kind of gave up on that because I didn't feel right about it. But people had a nicotine fix and they needed it. So what does this mean? If you want to help somebody, you got to walk a mile in their shoes, a little bit. So the homeless began to trust me. They knew that I was one of them. Okay, I know probably half of the homeless, the chronic homeless street people by first name, and they know me. And it's getting crazy out there because I drive down, hey, Pastor Mike, waving at me. Okay, so I'm pretty well known in Daytona Beach, and for whatever, I won't get into, making enemies, making enemies, but, when you bring the truth, sometimes, you're going to make enemies. The Pharisees and the Sadducees and the people high up in the temple, they hated Jesus. They hated him. He was absolutely scorned and rejected. The most rejected of men. So what does it mean to be homeless? It means, get into walking miles and miles every day because there isn't any central location to get everything that you need. You got to walk to meals. The Coalition for the Homeless serves, one plate of food, like 300 calories. This is supposed to sustain you all day. And everybody makes a big deal out of that, okay? And it's, it's okay, I don't want to be ungrateful, but, it's not, it's not fine dining, let me tell you. Walking miles to meals, to take a shower, to wash clothes, to get your meal, to see a nurse, and there's a tremendous amount of fellowship on the street. Okay, it's kind of like a bonding thing. We're all in this together, and and they form relationships and make friendships, and so on. But homelessness also means having little or no privacy and dignity. You have to do everything in public, because there's no private place to close the door and do things, with a little dignity and privacy. Now here's where my friend Carrie and I, okay, are getting, involved in, and this is just wrong. Okay, you're regularly asked by the police for your ID and being questioned about your activities at least once a week. If you're walking from one place to place. Now, I'm not paranoid, but I suspect that there's a war on the homeless. So we we investigate that, and it's funny that the public and advocates have to investigate the police. It's usually the other way around, but this is just getting crazy. Oh boy, I could go on and on about this. They actually take your ID and they crack it in half. Okay, they crack it in half, and so you can't use it. Okay, and they're just some officers. I'm not saying that all officers are like this, but we've got a few bad apples out there that think that that their mission is to make the homeless people to make them suffer as much as possible because they want to run the bums out of town. Now that's the bottom line. Okay, and in my advocacy, I call them on their hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is they say on one hand we want to help the homeless. Okay, well, if you want to help the homeless, start helping the homeless right now. They're talking about building a building, west of 95, and then they're going to sweep everybody off the streets and out to this wonderful facility where everybody's going to be helped and lifted up. Well, lift them up now. Okay, why not just get started? Homelessness means moving your living space, moving constantly to a new location so you can be left alone. Does anybody here, relish the idea of moving?
No.
I don't. But how about if your meager possessions and you had to pick up and move on a regular basis, just move to a new location every single month or week or what have you, and it's not a fun time. And sometimes you have to hang out with people who don't care about you. We have a lot of predatory people that look for the weak so they can prey upon them, whether they get a disability check or they get a few dollars. There's always somebody out there that's gonna want to get some money from each other, and they do dangerous things. you know, or they just act crazy, they're addicted and mentally ill, and, you know, that's, you know, because of the change in, you know, back in the 70s, they had, you know, they had mental health facilities, and they don't have that anymore. All right, so the mentally ill and the mentally challenged are dumped out onto the street, okay? And I regularly, you know, when I ride the bus, there's guys that, you know, talk to themselves, and there's a lady that, you know, runs out and starts screaming, you know, and they're just sad. You know, they're just sad. They need help, and then there's another tier of people that could be contributing members of society, and with the right treatment, okay, and medication. I mean, you know, we all know, you know, there's people out there that have issues, bipolar or whatever, or schizophrenia, okay, and so on. But those issues are managed, okay, by some medications, and I don't believe in all of that, but you know, but I'm not, you know, not like what's that, Scientology. I'm not like that. Okay? You know, okay. People can be helped, but you know, you ever heard the phrase, you know, oh, he's off his meds, okay, and they need to be. Some people need to be on the meds. All right, so but that's not going on right now. Okay, there's no outreach. Okay, there's no what I call proactive case management, where, you know, these people can be assessed and then put into, you know, so there's some of it going on, and I've taken the people to Stuart Marchman and, you know, and help them get their assessment and get their medication, take them to the pharmacy to get their medication. There's a lot more that can be done. All right, this is, now the next item, next bullet point is very important, because when you say homeless, there's a lot of people that I characterize as familyless, all right, because for whatever reason, because of their issues, whether it be drug addiction or alcoholism, or, I'm watching, he's been watching his microphone, that for whatever reason, they burned all their bridges to safety, okay? Their families say, I've had enough, okay? You can't come back here, all right? And I understand that, okay? When I was in the throes of drug addiction, you know, I used to tell, you know, my family wouldn't pee on me if I was on fire, you know, okay? But that was a protection, because they were protecting their families, or drawing the wagons around, and we can't have this, you know, this crazy guy into our house because they thought I was going to steal the TV or whatever. Okay, but when you're separated, and there's some people that just, you know, had children, and because they're homeless, all right, the government agencies take their kids. All right, they take them, you know, and they say, well, this is not a safe environment for your children, so we're going to take your kids. All right. So, you know, I've talked to a few people like that have been on the street, and I just couldn't imagine that. I really, I have 3 beautiful daughters, you know, that I raised in New Smyrna Beach, you know, 25 years. So, and my youngest daughter is blessing me with a grandchild in May, you know, my first grandchild. So the plan that I had when I went into this ministry of saying, okay, you know, after a few years, I'm going to declare victory, you know, and I'm going to, you know, declare victory and say, God, you know, thank you. You know, I did this. I'm ready to go, and I'm going to go down to Nicaragua and teach English to little kids, and you know, and go, you know, watch the surfers, because I can't surf anymore. But you know what? You want to make God laugh is to tell him your plans. You know, so. Natalie Ann Pastore will meet, you know, will be introduced in May, and I'm really happy about that. You know, when you're homeless on the street, you know, and you have like dirty clothes, and it's the thing with the backpacks. You see people walking up and down the street with the backpacks. Well, you know, that's most of what they own is in that backpack. Okay, so that's kind of like an identifier that the cops, you know, zero in on. But you encounter outright hostility and rejection from most people. Homelessness means that you're trying to get off the street. No, and I hear these, I call them urban myths about homeless people. And they say, well, they enjoy this lifestyle. And they get off. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. They have a, yeah, LG has a drop test, and I just, you know, helped them with that. Okay. They're trying to get off the street, but they haven't been able to. You know, you have your possessions stolen or ruined on a regular basis. I got a guy, you know, 3 times I gotta take him to Halifax, get all of his prescriptions again. He has critical cardiac issues, and then get them all there. And then, you know, we had this crazy guy on Beach Street, you know, who decided that he was going to throw people's possessions away. All right, so, you know, he's a Beach Street merchant, and I won't go into that right now on camera. But although you know, I'm resisting it because I'm a child of the '60s, and you know, I'm trying to channel my inner radical, you know, keep it in check a little bit. Chief Chitwood calls me a organizational terrorist.
That's one of the nicer terms.
That's one of the nicer terms. All right, so you know, and he said, well, Pastor Mike's out there doing his civil disobedience thing, and I feel like saying, well, okay, what laws am I breaking? Okay, I'm advocating for the homeless. Okay, over at 250 North Beach Street, we have a homeless encampment, okay, which is perfectly legal, and it's stirring up a lot of stuff. You know, these people, they constantly want money for their needs, but when they get it, they use it poorly. It's like hand to mouth. That's it. They can't get together the money for a security deposit, or, you know, or for clothes to go on a job interview. You know, it's just so hard to lift themselves out of poverty. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And, you know, they spend more time giving up than hoping for a better life, because it just seems out of reach and impossible. You know, and welcome to my world. I spend a lot of hours with them. Folks, these are our neighbors. Love thy neighbor. It's not a suggestion, it's a commandment. Instead of dehumanizing, we need to rehumanizing people in this situation. Now, how do we do that? You know, I come to, you know, speak to different groups, and, you know, I say, well, Pastor Mike, what do you need? You know, and you know, fine, I get charitable contributions, donations, and so on. You know, but the most important thing that I want people to do is I'm trying to combat these misconceptions about these people, okay? And you know, we've got a saying within the advocacy industry, I'll call it. It's called hobophobia.
It was on one of the slides.
Oh, okay, hobophobia. Okay, an irrational fear of hobos. You know, they say, oh, we can't have these people near a park. We can't have these people. You know, they're going to come out of this safe zone and they're going to commit crimes. You know, there's going to be rapes and murders and pillaging. You know, well, Chief Chitwood needs to get over that. Okay, he's got more important things to worry about than you know, than the homeless population. You know, the enforcement of these city ordinances, I could go on and on about this. I call it the low-hanging fruit. Okay. Now, when you're a police officer, okay, and you're out on patrol, how hard it is to arrest a a guy sitting on the sidewalk drinking a beer. I mean, that's really, really hard police work. Okay, so they're out there and they would say, I gotta make an arrest today or whatever. And, you know, oh, there's a guy. He's cracking. You know, let's look through the binoculars. Oh, he's cracking a beer. Okay, boom, goes to jail. You know, now on Beach Street they have a wine walk, and that's contributing to the economy. And we can have yuppies and hipsters and, you know, the people that Commissioner Kelly White's trying to attract. They come into town, and we're going to have a wine and chocolate walk. Okay, so you have the equivalent of a bottle of wine staggering down Beach Street, and that's contributing to the economy. But if you crack a beer next to the Jiffy store, you're going to jail if you're homeless. That's it. Now, I'm not trying to defend, you know, alcoholism or people that have substance abuse issues. I'm very, you know, in tune with it because I came out of the pits of substance abuse and so on. 2.5 years now, clean and sober, and by the grace of God, you know, God has taken away that desire and that craving for mind-altering substances. Okay, but when you're on the street and there's really nothing to do, you know, and, you know, to be able to sleep on concrete, I probably have to suck down a couple of beers, you know. So you can't just say, look what they're doing. Okay, you got to examine, why are they doing what they're doing? All drunks and addicts are criminals, so they deserve what they get. That's it. Now, I want to come against that mindset. And if we treat the homeless as criminals, then we're setting ourselves up and our community to be hurt by the homeless. This is not because the homeless want to hurt us. Rather, they're reflecting back to us the attitude we put on them. What does the golden rule say? Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. Seems pretty simple to me. Now you say, Pastor Mike, what can I do? You know, what can I do? All right. Well, number one, you know, and I feel this is kind of preaching to the choir here with this group. Okay, you can seem to be very sympathetic, compassionate people. But in your, you know, in your interactions with your friends and, you know, society and so on, you know, you have to, you can be an advocate too. You can. You just speak up and defend, you know, defend people that are less fortunate. Okay. You know, if you feel led to donate to, you know, me or other ministries or other agencies, you know, that's part of it. Okay. Just in closing, I'll talk a little bit about panhandling, you know, because they really, you know, they do that, okay, and you know, really, if you look at the Constitution, okay, and the First Amendment is free speech, and asking for help is free speech. I get real, I don't get angry, you know, God's taken that away from me, you know, but I get upset and disappointed when people say I was accosted by a panhandler. Hey, they asked you for $1. That's not accosting people. Okay, you don't want to give them $1? Don't give them $1. Say no, thank you. Have a nice day. Okay, but I had a guy from DeLand, Pastor Jimmy Waddle. He has a ministry in DeLand, and he came up to the wall because he saw it on Facebook, and he said, "Here, Pastor Mike, you know these people better than I do." And he handed me $32 bills. And written on each $2 bill that said, "Jesus loved you." You know, that's his sentiment. Or you could put your own uplifting sentiment on a $2 bill. You know, keep them in your car. And if you have somebody at a traffic light, okay, give them a $2 bill and say, "How you doing?" You know, or on the street. You know, what I do, but you know, if somebody asks me for $1, if I have it, I give them to them. But before I do that, you know, I say, "What's your name? How you doing today? You know, what's your immediate desperate need?" you know, Pastor Mike, I want a roof over my head. And, you know, most of the people, they want a room and a job to pay for it. You know, and this is so out of reach. You know, not so much here, but in Daytona Beach, it's because they raise the landlords have this inspection fee now, and you know, it's like $1,500 to move into a one-bedroom efficiency. You know, and it might as well be $1 million. You know, because they just can't get it together. Okay, one of the things that I'm advocating for is affordable housing. You know, I have a letter from the housing department, senior affordable housing. It took 18 months to get that letter. You know, I'm going another direction. You know, I want to open up we'll open up a sober house, and you know, bring some people in that are trying to change their lives. And a number of people around the city are doing that, and I want to do some of that. But my overarching goal is to get what's called a safe zone, okay, where people can eat and sleep and use the bathroom and be left alone. Now, is this too much to ask, really? Huh? Where shall it go? Okay, you know, it's NIMBY, not in my backyard. Well, you know, but anyway, I could do a number of that. But okay, but I just want to leave you with this: is that my friend, I call her Little Mary. Okay, she died on October 21st, 2014. And she was trespassed by a transient hotel. I was walking across the ridge when she was struck by a car at 10:30 at night. And I promised her mother that I would not rest until somebody like Mary, okay, would have a place to go at night, so they wouldn't have to be walking. It's like roadkill out there. We got 4 or 5 that, you know, I did the message for a Day of Remembrance for all the homeless, and in the 2 years, I've got like over 32 people that died on the streets. You know, so people are dying. Okay, this is deadly serious business for me, to be honest with you. Well, now let me panhandle for just a moment, okay? I have a friend, and he feeds the homeless on Saturdays at 4 o'clock, 4:30 at North Street. And he wrote a book called The Main Thing. And the main thing is that those at the top must help those at the bottom. You know, and I hear, you know, Pastor Mike, if I win the Powerball, I'm going to build you the biggest homeless shelter. You know, but it's not abundance, okay? It's sacrifice, okay? Take a little of what you have, okay, and invest it in people. All right, so if anybody wants a book, if you want to give me $20 to buy a sleeping bag, you know, over there, I told people don't buy those $3 fleece blankets at Walmart because they're going to get them dirty and throw them out. Okay, when I give them a Coleman sleeping bag, okay, that's a prized possession because they can tonight it's going to be 45 degrees. It's going to be 45 degrees. Okay, and how would you like to be out there tonight? Well, that's where I'm going to be tonight, out there with my friends. Okay, in the back is a spiral notebook. You know, write down your name and email address so I keep you up there, you know, and up informed on what I'm doing, and whatever it takes. You know, I won't beat you up with scripture and say, you know, if you have, you know, two coats, give somebody one. If you got 2 sandwiches, give people one. You know, I just sense the compassion and the, you know, and the importance of love for your fellow man. You know? And whether it's this congregation or other congregations, we're all part of the human race. You know, we have one earth. You know, we have to care for each other, bear each other's burdens. Okay, and you know, they say, well, you know, I gotta have this and I gotta have that. You know, in the opening scene of a movie called Fight Club, Edward Norton says, the more things you own, the more they own you. Okay, so I don't have to preach about downsizing or living simply so others can simply live. Okay, I think we all need to declutter. Okay, and if you got a warm jacket that you no longer wear, okay, or a toboggan, okay, or or sweater or something warm, give them to Carrie and he'll bring them to me. I'll make sure they get distributed. Okay, Carrie gave me his 0-degree sleeping bag that he's been hoarding for 30 years or whatever.
True story.
True story, yeah. And that's a prized position. So he says, I've got to get this cleaned. So I got it cleaned, and there's a very, very nice lady who's going to be in it tonight. So thanks for having me. Okay, God blesses each one like Tiny Tim. All right, and just think about us. Okay, thank you very much.